Let me perceive no differences today. 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 Well, hello, I'm Willie from the Ozarks, a little closer to the convergence of Shoal Creek on Hickory Creek, where I'm at yet. I'm Willie from the Ozarks, and we're ready for lesson 262 in A Course in Miracles workbook for students. We're reading from the original edition here on lesson 262. Let me perceive no differences today. Tuesday, September 19th, 2023. Let me perceive no differences today. Father, you have one Son, and it is He that I would look upon today. He is your one creation. Why should I perceive 1,000 forms in what remains as one? Why should I give this one 1,000 names when only one suffices? For your Son must bear your name, for you created him. Let me not see him as a stranger to his Father, nor as stranger to myself. For he is part of me and I of him, and we are part of you who are our source. Eternally united in your love, eternally the Holy Son of God. We who are one would recognize this day the truth about ourselves. We who are one would recognize this day the truth about ourselves. We would come home and rest in unity, for there is peace, and nowhere else can peace be sought and found. Let me perceive no differences today. And our associated reading for today is, what is the body? The body is a fence the Son of God imagines He has built to separate parts of Himself from other parts. It is within this fence He thinks He lives, to die as it decays and crumbles. For within this fence He thinks that He is safe from love. Identifying with its safety, He regards Himself as what His safety is. How else could He be certain He remains within the body, keeping love outside? The body will not stay. Yet this He sees as double safety. For the Son of God's impermanence is, in quotes, proof, which isn't proof. Proof His fences work and do the task His mind assigns to them. For if His oneness still remained untouched, who could attack and who could be attacked? Who could be victor? Who could be His prey? Who could be victim? Who the murderer? And if He did not die, what, in quotes, proof is there that God's eternal Son can be destroyed? The body is a dream. Like other dreams, it sometimes seems to picture happiness, but can quite suddenly revert to fear where every dream is born. For only love creates in truth, and truth can never fear. Made to be fearful must the body serve the purpose given it. But we can change the purpose which the body will obey by changing what we think that it is for. The body is the means by which God's Son returns to sanity. Though it was made to fence Him into hell without escape, yet has the goal of heaven been exchanged for the pursuit of hell. The Son of God extends His hand to reach His brother and to help him walk along the road with Him. Now is the body holy. Now it serves to heal the mind that it was made to kill. You will identify with what you think will make you safe, whatever it may be. You will believe that it is one with you. Your safety lies in truth and not in lies. Your safety lies in truth, not in lies. Love is your safety. Fear does not exist. Identify with love and you are safe. Identify with love and you are home. Identify with love and find yourself. Wow, we're love beings, aren't we? Let me perceive no differences today. We who are one would recognize this day the truth about ourselves. We would come home and rest in unity, for there is peace, and nowhere else can peace be sought and found. Now, this is very close to our lesson yesterday about how that we realized that our peace comes from a recognition that we're part of God, which is part of everything, and we're all integrated. There is no opposition. And that's how we find our peace, by finding ourselves. Okay, the quiet answer is where we're going to read today in the text. It's in chapter 27, the body and the dream, section Roman numeral 5, the quiet answer, begin in paragraph 36. In quietness are all things answered, and is every problem quietly resolved. That's how it starts. We'll come back to that in just a moment. Let's take a look at what is going on around the world today. Get Ready Day, and that's be ready for a crisis, Preparedness Day. IT Professional Day and National IT Professional Day. Talk like or meow like a pirate day. National Butterscotch Pudding Day, and Take a Loved One to the Doctor Day. And I wanted to clarify a little bit more about bamboo and talk to you a little bit about bamboo. I did a little more research. Of the ones we talked about yesterday, we talked about the Phylostachys genus, and we talked about the Vivax, and two varieties. We're going to talk more about them today. The Hogan or the Hoang Wenzu variety and the Aristachys variety. And yesterday we also talked about the Inversa, which I think was the golden bamboo. I couldn't find much about Inversa, but I found a lot about the Vivax, the Hoang-Wenzu, and the Aristachys. And the thing I liked about those is that they were good in zones 5 through 11. They'll withstand down to -5 degree Fahrenheit, which is -21 degrees Celsius, and they're evergreens, so they're really beautiful all through the winter. If you do get a colder period than that, the tops will die back, but the bottoms will shoot back new growth the following year. Let's see, of the Phylostachys vivax. Oh, and another one we talked about yesterday was the Phylostachys nigra, and the heron, and it's the one that blooms every 120 years, and it's called the black bamboo or the purple bamboo. These other ones, which we'll use those, the Phylostachys vivax Hoang-Wenzu, is the Chinese timber bamboo, and then the other one, the Aristachys, is the yellow groove bamboo. So let's talk about those two just for a moment. The Chinese timber bamboo had a 5-star rating for edibility, so very good one to eat. I like it because it grew in my zones 5 through 11. And it's a big bamboo, Chinese timber bamboo. I saw that in one place it said it could get up to 70 feet high. You have to have really good soil for that and good conditions. Generally, you think of it about a 25-foot bamboo, maybe 2 or 3 inch diameter, which is pretty big. It can get up to 5-inch diameter. So that's, and it's a running bamboo, not a clumping bamboo. Your clumping bamboos are the ones that kind of stay put when you plant them. They clump. Where your running bamboo put out runners, and they spread better, which if you want a big patch, you want your running bamboo. If you're trying to contain it, you want your clumping type bamboos. I liked that it was an evergreen, and that it's edible. And then a 3-star edibility rating was the yellow groove bamboo, the Aristachys. That's its cultivar name. It's a Phylostachys vivax also, and it's the yellow groove bamboo, also known as the golden Chinese timber bamboo. And it's also a real big one. It's about, from what I can understand, about the same size, big bamboos. But it's got a 3-star edibility rating. So there's your Chinese timber bamboo and your yellow groove bamboo, or the golden Chinese timber bamboo. So what else did I have? Oh, and also I want to make a correction. Many bamboos are poisonous, particularly if you eat them raw. And there's only about a 2-week window where you can pick bamboo. You know, when they're little shoots coming up, when they're still tender. And they say that the cyanide in the bamboo, that's the ones that are toxic, is taxiphyllin, which is bitter. And so you can tell whether it's a safe one to eat or not by the taste of it. If it's bitter, don't eat it. A lot of that bitterness, though, in many varieties will dissipate if you cook. I think most varieties. One place I found online said that if you cook it and it's not bitter, then it's edible. Anyways, the idea is if it's bitter, don't eat it. But the boiling usually removes that toxin. So I thought that was interesting. For survival food, just find likely, even if it doesn't taste real good. But if it's bitter, I'd probably avoid it, is what it seems to say. Okay. What else do we? I guess that's everything. Let's go take a look now in our text reading. In paragraph 36 of chapter 27, the quiet answer. In quietness are all things answered, and is every problem quietly resolved. In conflict there can be no answer and no resolution, for its purpose is to make no resolution possible and to ensure no answer will be plain. A problem set in conflict has no answer, for it is seen in different ways. And what would be an answer from one point of view is not an answer in another light. You are in conflict. Thus it must be clear you cannot answer anything at all, for conflict has no limited effects. Yet if God gave an answer, there must be a way in which your problems are resolved, for what He wills already has been done. Paragraph 37, what God wills has already been done. Isn't that something? We just aren't realizing it. Paragraph 37, thus it must be that time is not involved, and every problem can be answered now. Wow, it's already been done because it's what God wills. And God wills that you be happy and prosperous, so time must not be involved. It says, what God wills already has been done. Thus it must be that time is not involved, and every problem can be answered now. Yet it must also be that in your state of mind, solution is impossible. Therefore, God must have given you a way of reaching to another state of mind, in which the answer is already there. Such is the holy instant. That's what we want to get good at, going into that quiet place, that holy instant. It is here that all your problems should be brought and left. It's what we used to call in yoga samadhi. At least that's how I see it. Here they belong in the holy instant. Here is where your problems belong, for here their answer is. And where its answer is, a problem must be simple and be easily resolved. It must be pointless to attempt to solve a problem where the answer cannot be, yet just as surely it must be resolved if it is brought to where the answer is. 38. Attempt to solve no problems but within the holy instant's surety, for there the problem will be answered and resolved. Outside there will be no solution, for there is no answer there that could be found. Nowhere outside a single simple question is ever asked. The world can only ask a double question with many answers, none of which will do. It does not ask a question to be answered, but only to restate its point of view. All questions asked within this world are but a way of looking, not a question asked. Again on that one. All questions asked within this world are but a way of looking, not a question asked. A question asked in hate cannot be answered, because it is an answer in itself. A double question asks and answers, both attesting the same thing in different form. 39. The world asks but one question. It is this: of these illusions, which of them are true? But if they're both illusions, neither one of them are true. Which one establishes peace and offers joy? And which can bring escape from all the pain of which the world is made? Whatever form the question takes, its purpose is the same. It asks but to establish sin is real, and answers in the form of preference. Which sin do you prefer? That is the one which you would choose. Which sin do you prefer? Well, that is the one which you should choose. The others are not true. What can the body get that would want the most of all? What can the body get that you would want the most of all? Is it your servant and your friend? But tell it what you want, and it will serve you lovingly and well. And this is not a question, for it tells you what you want and where to go for it. It leaves no room to question its beliefs, except that what it states takes question's form. Well, be aware of what the ego deludes us into making preferences and illusions, where the Holy Spirit just wants us to lay them down as illusions. Paragraph 40. A pseudo-question has no answer. It dictates the answer even as it asks. Thus is all questioning within the world a form of propaganda for itself. A pseudo-question has no answer. It dictates the answer even as it asks. Thus is all questioning within the world a form of propaganda for itself. Just as the body's witnesses are but the senses from within itself, so are the answers to the questions of the world contained within the questions. Where answers represent the questions, they add nothing new, and nothing has been learned. 41. An honest question is a learning tool which asks for something that you do not know. That's an honest question. Is a learning tool which asks for something that you do not know. It does not set conditions for response, but merely asks what the response should be. But no one in a conflict state is free to ask this question, for he does not want an honest answer where the conflict ends. Only within the holy instant can an honest question honestly be asked. Only in the holy instant can an honest question honestly be asked. And from the meaning of the question does the meaningfulness of the answer come. Here is it possible to separate your wishes from the answer, so it can be given you and also be received. The answer is provided everywhere, yet it is only here it can be heard, in the holy instant, in the quiet moment. 42. An honest answer asks no sacrifice, because it answers questions truly asked. The honest answer asks no sacrifice, because it answers questions truly asked. The questions of the world but ask of whom is sacrifice demanded, asking not if sacrifice is meaningful at all. And so unless the answer tells of whom, it will remain unrecognized, unheard, and thus the question is perceived intact because it gave the answer to itself. The holy instant is the interval in which the mind is still enough to hear an answer which is not entailed within the question asked. Let's catch that one again. The holy instant is the interval in which the mind is still enough to hear an answer which is not entailed within the question asked. It offers something new and different from the question. How could it be answered if it but repeats itself? And the last paragraph, 43, for this section. Therefore, attempt to solve no problems in a world from which the answer has been barred. Attempt to solve no problems in a world from which the answer has been barred, but bring the problem to the only place which holds the answer lovingly for you. Here are the answers which will solve your problems because they stand apart from the problems. Here are the answers which will solve your problems because they stand apart from them. And see what can be answered, what the question is. Within the world, the answers merely raise another question, though they leave the first unanswered. In the holy instant, you can bring the question to the answer and receive the answer that was made for you. Within the world, the answers merely raise another question, though they leave the first unanswered. In the holy instant, you can bring the question to the answer and receive the answer that was made for you. So let's become proficient at entering into those quiet times. At least in this world, let's frame an amount of time that we go into the silence and be open and aware of a holy instant. It only takes an instant, and you don't need to take a long time to get there, but most of it seems like we go there kicking and screaming, our minds rustling and trying to think of reasons not to sit still and quiet and receive what God has for us. So let me perceive no differences today. Father, you have one Son, and it is He that I would look upon today. He is your one creation. Why should I perceive 1,000 forms in what remains as one? Why should I give this one 1,000 names when only one suffices? For your Son must bear your name, for you created him. Let me not see him as a stranger to his Father, nor as stranger to myself. For he is part of me and I of him, and we are part of you who are our source, eternally united in your love, eternally the Holy Son of God. Let me perceive no differences today. We who are one would recognize this day the truth about ourselves. We would come home and rest in unity, for there is peace, and nowhere else can peace be sought and found. Let me perceive no differences today. 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 What is the body? The body is a fence the Son of God imagines he has built. What is the body? The body is a fence the Son of God imagines he has built to separate parts of his self from other parts. The body is a dream, the body is the means by which God's Son returns to sanity. The Son of God extends his hand to reach his brother and to help him walk along the road with him. Now is the body holy now it serves to heal the mind. Now is the body holy now it serves to heal the mind. Love is your safety, fear does not exist. Identify with love and you are safe. Identify with love and you are home. Identify with love and find yourself. Let me perceive no differences today. Let me perceive no differences today. Let me perceive perceive no differences today. Let me perceive no differences today. And you know, as I was singing that, I thought of something else I really wanted to tell you before we get off here, and we got a little extra time. I found a really good website if you really want to study about bamboos. That Gaudua Bamboo, GAUDUABAMBOO.com, and that's based on you know, there's many genuses and species. I think I said 1,400 yesterday species, and how many? It was around 100. Is that what it was? Genuses. Well, Gaudua is a genus, Angustifolia is a variety, species. Anyway, that Gaudua bamboo, they talk about a lot of different kinds of bamboo. That's a really good building type bamboo, but it only grows in the tropics, or at least not in the temperate climates, as I understand. But I wanted to point out that, and another good website for the bamboo was gardenia.net. I'll put those in the description below. Anyway, I didn't mean to I wanted to say that, and I realized I didn't. So let's I appreciate you all joining me here on the banks of Hickory Creek. Let me perceive no differences today. 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 Let's look beyond that fence that we've imagined, that we've built, and see that we're part of our brothers and sisters. Someone told me, I don't know why I even grow a garden. I give most of my food away. And I thought to myself, after the person had left, I thought, well, you know, that's the way it ought to work. We ought to be giving all of our food away. Grow way more than you need, because you're giving it to yourself. You've given it beyond the fence, beyond the appearance of the separation. Let me perceive no differences today.